Hey everyone, this is Nitro. So, I'm gonna go over the Mercenaries of the week to see how useful the Mercenaries this week are. So let's take a look. First, there is a Listel from Mu0 from the Lislis server. The power is 5836 and it has access to all the classes. Every single skill is available. Hit points 3708 plus 3474. So I think that's actually quite high hit points. Even though this Listel is only 4 stars, if we compare it to mine, right, 3708 is more than me. 3474 is actually very similar to my Listel. So in terms of hit points, it's around, I guess, 12,000 in total. That's my estimate. So that means this Listel is... It's usable, but it won't one-shot things. I guess that's the summary. Because my Listel can't one-shot things. And that Listel has very comparable hit points to mine. So it's highly unlikely for this Listel to be able to one-shot enemy mages and whatnot. But the fact that it has Reaper's Touch and Blood Dance means it is worth using. In fact, it's worth using enough that I'm going to replace my Listel with this Mercenary one. So the Listel is pretty solid. It can't one-shot things, but it's a good one. Next, Lana. Elsis City, Hellraiser EGs is the commander. 6193 power. Okay, so from the power, it's actually pretty good, right? My Lana has 6303, which is not a significantly higher level than that one. There are several cons though. First of all, this one has Star Earring. The pro side of bringing the Star Earring is that it has a lot more survivability against assassins and archers. So this Lana probably cannot be assassinated. The major con of bringing the Star Earring is that this Lana can be silenced. So, pros and cons. Other than that, it has a Yggdrasil Reef. It has a Galaxy Cloak with, wow, 10% hit points, 11% defense, 10% magic defense. Holy crap, this is one hell of an enchant. I have not seen an enchant like this yet. That gives around 31% buff in stats. But that is really awesome. That's an amazing enchant on the Galaxy Cloak. And this Blue Moon could use a more intelligence increase, right? This should be plus 15% int. It's only 8% and 8%. So the enchants are a little bit awkward in terms of increasing the intelligence stats, but nonetheless, Lana should be able to one-shot things despite that. Intelligence is 448 plus 281. Just for comparison, my Lana's intelligence is 495 plus 341. So 495 plus 341, that is 836 base int on my Lana. Whereas on this Lana, the intelligence is 448 plus 281 for a total of 729. So you're talking 100 less intelligence than mine. 107 less intelligence. That is really significant. Really, really significant. Right? Because, remember, once again, recall, this intelligence is before your percentage buffs, right? From like your equipment, I think it's before these equipment percentages. Or it's before the bond percentages, I think. So the fact that this Lana has so much less intelligence than mine would be an issue. I'm not sure this Lana is capable of one-shotting things. However, it's still overall quite a solid Lana. 5 stars rather than 6 stars, and you know, definitely usable. It just depends on, you just need to be aware of the weaknesses. Once again, it'll probably live against Zerida, but it will probably die against, you know, Bozol or Listel silences. Okay, so there's the Lana. Next, Altemuller, 5 stars with the Flyer class. Equipment is pretty much idealized equipment. Ragnarok, Last Rites, Jormungandr's Eye, and Slayer's Emblem. Enchant values, 11% plus 17 attack, I like that. 7% attack and 5 attack, that's okay. 10% would actually give more, but this is perfectly acceptable. 4% attack and 7% hit points, actually that's really good. And the Last Rites has 4% attack and 6% hit points. So, this is actually a reasonably properly enchanted Altemuller. It's lacking hit point percentage buffs, but this Altemuller was focused on pure attack in the first place. So it is acceptable to be lacking some hit point increases. So this Altemuller would be vulnerable to getting one-shotted after an AoE hit to disable Last Rites, of course. But for PvE purposes, this would be pretty much the ideal Altemuller. For PvP, it's a bit vulnerable to being one-shotted after being hit by an AoE. But otherwise, it's very, very usable. Definitely a usable Altemuller. Don't look down on this one. It can definitely be used. So, already, 3 characters that are surprisingly usable. Vargas. This Vargas has 5400 power. Overall, the equipment is good, right? Spirit Boots allows Vargas to move after attacking, right? Plus defense increase. Chain Helmet, defense increase, plus 10 defense, SR. Aeneas' Armor, defense increase, hit points. Although this could be 15, this could be 15, so the enchant isn't that great. That's why it's only 5400 power though, of course. Yggdrasil Branch, 8% hit points, 2% defense, and plus defense. So this is clearly a This is clearly a PvP. It's clearly a PvE oriented Vargas, where you don't necessarily need the hit point enchant, right? So it's built for PvE. It's definitely upgraded, maxed out with access to basically all the skills and so on. The drawback is the enchant is steel and it has an SR item, the Chain Helm. Otherwise, but overall, this is definitely a usable Vargas. Once again, it depends on how powerful your party is. Like, I would personally never bring a 5400 power Vargas when I have, for example, a Landius at 6237 and a Juggler at 6000, right? There's zero reason for me to ever use a Vargas that's really much less power than my Juggler and Vargas. And my Ledin for the matter, right? Even my Ledin is 6243. But for those who don't have, super powerful characters, this Vargas can be used. Joshua. This Joshua, 5103 power. Equipment is actually amazing. Extreme Magic Bow, Last Rites. Jormungandr's Eye, that one's a little bit questionable to me, but that's fine. And a Judge's Talisman. This one's also very questionable because it increases defense instead of hit points, right? As you all saw previously, for example, right, my Zerida was dying in combat because she had a Judge's Talisman. Now that I've replaced it with the Lone Star Amulet, with the hit point increase from it, my Zerida was no longer as vulnerable. So the choice of Judge's Talisman is definitely questionable here. But other than that, this is a very, very good Joshua, I would say. In terms of attack increase, 10%, 20% with 5 attack. So 22% and 26% attack increase with another 5 attack. So this is a max attack focused Joshua, which is nice. Hit point increase is 6% here, right? Nothing there. 11% here. So that's 17% hit point increase, which is, I guess, valid. Yeah, it's perfectly acceptable. So, especially for an assassin. So, overall, I would say this assassin should be brought in your party. I'm definitely putting it in mine as a ranged attacker. So, that makes 5 very usable characters already. Hein. 4950 Hein. 6% int there. 13% int here. 15% hit points and 2% int. Wow. But the enchant on this Warlock's Hood is garbage. Everything else actually looked surprisingly good. But major issues with this Hein is that it has a drop near, not a holy ring. So it's very vulnerable to silence. Right? And of course, the Warlock's Hood is garbage. So overall, I would say for this Hein, I wouldn't recommend him in your party, right? That's how I see it. Single class mastery as well, right? Meteor, Thunderstorm, Lightning Strike, Teleport, and Fireball. This is a single class mastery Hein. So yeah, overall, I don't recommend it. It's definitely usable for PvE content, but not a Hein for PvP. Jessica, 5,063 power. This actually has the mass heal skill, which is great. Okay, a runestone has been put into this Jessica. Also has magic defense support. It has holy ring for immunity to silence. The unfortunate thing is the other 3 pieces of gear are SR. So I can't recommend her. I can't recommend her at all. And especially when the Scorching Staff only has a 6% int increase with 8 int. It's too bad. If this Jessica had SSR gear, it would actually be surprisingly usable, right? With Teleport, right? A single target strike and mass heal, it could be surprisingly useful in PvP content if you had SSR gear. So no. No to Hein, no to Jessica. Lifini, the power is below 5k. It's all SR gear, so no. Summed up. It does have aim for so that it could magic bomb the enemies with her talent successfully, but still, no. SR gear to me is an instant no. Narm, the power rating is so low that I'm going to say no right away. Which is a shame because the equipment looks amazing. The reason though the power is so low should be due to bonds, right? If you look right here, right, the attack increase is only 23%. So the soldier bonds aren't upgraded, and that probably means that her other bonds, increasing attack and hit points, are not upgraded. That's why her hit points is so low, 1847, right? Even though the gear is really good, Extreme Magic Bow, you know, Monkey King's Vest, Jormungandr's Eye, and Judge's Talisman, I'm gonna say no to this Narm. Even though it's 6 stars, yeah, the bonds are not upgraded. If the bonds were upgraded on this Narm, it might be very usable, but taking a look at this though, it only has 5 skills, which also means single class mastery. That's it. So, last but not least, Zerida. 4989 power. And generally speaking, Zeridas don't have that much power anyways, so that's fine. For example, if I bring up my Zerida, where is she? Here she is. She's at 5459, right? So this Zerida is 500 power below mine, which might be linked to enchants and so on. We'll see, right? So let's look into it in detail. In terms of skills, it has access to everything, so double class mastery. In terms of the soldier boost, it is maxed out. Talent, actually, if I just go back, it's a 5-star Zerida. So just like mine, 5 stars, which could be a limiting factor. But, I see. This item is the limitation on this Zerida. It's an SR assault ring, giving 49 attack and 5% attack value. It is not something like my Zerida's Lone Star Amulet, right? That gives 75 attack, 509 hit points, and 10% attack and defense increase. So my enchant could be better. It could be a 10% attack increase, you know, with, you know, crit rate could be higher. So could the hit points, but, you know, my overall, I would say I would prefer to use my own Zerida. Even though this one has the Extreme Magic Bow, I prefer mine. And The reason is, well, this is only a 10% attack increase, not 15%. So that's a huge attack debuff. You know, the assault ring is another huge attack debuff, right? 75 instead of 49 instead of 75, 3% attack. That's pretty much fatal. And the Monkey King's vest has 10% hit points, which is fine with 6 attack, while the King's Crown has 11% hit points. So these two enchants are okay, I would say. You know, ideally it would be hit points and attack value increase, but these enchants are fine. But the Extreme Magic Bow one is not, and neither is the Assault Ring. The Assault Ring is an absolute no-no to me. So overall, I would say if you don't have a 5-star Zerida, then by all means use this one. But if you do have a 5-star Zerida of your own, like mine, even though my gear is not as good as his, I don't have an Extreme Magic Bow, I don't have King's Crown, right? But I do have a Lone Star Amulet. Overall, I would still say I prefer mine. Even though mine cannot melee attack, I'm happy with my Zerida over his. Okay, so at the end of the day though, this is a pretty darn good week for Mercenaries, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 usable Mercenaries. Of those 6, I would say 2 of them are pretty much top tier, which is Listel and Joshua. You know, Zerida is definitely usable. This Lana is usable, but be aware that its intelligence stat is not maximized. This Altemuller is usable with a maximized attack value, but not that much hit point increases. And as for the Vargas, well, the Vargas is 5400 power. So if your tanks are higher than that, use your own tanks. If your tanks are below that, you can consider using this Vargas. Alright, so that sums up the Mercenaries for the week. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you found this information useful. And on that note, Nitro out.